Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Mfasis from the Talking to Myself podcast, and I'm gonna get right into it. So, long story short, history repeats itself. I'm gonna explain what I mean a little later in the video, but firstly, Tyler, the creator, he sat down for a very interesting interview with Maverick Carter, where he discussed several things, such as like his love for DJ Quick, but the main thing that caught people's attention was several of the statements that he made regarding the artists of today. Really, what he called like, meme rappers essentially. He didn't call them meme rappers, but he said they're making meme records. And even though I agree with several of the points that he made, I want to first push back on some of the things that he said that I don't fully agree with, or I don't see it the same way that he sees it. So, first of all, Tyler is making the same argument that people made in the 2000s. Replace the word meme with the word ringtone, and it's the exact same conversation that people were having 15, 20 years ago. I remember because I'm old enough to remember 15, 20 years ago in the 2000s where people were making these same arguments saying that all these artists sound the same. They're all trying to be trendy. Nobody cares about making music. They're just trying to make a hot ringtone. They all sound alike. That whole Wu-Tang, see, and back in the day, Wu-Tang didn't sound like Tribe Called Quest. Guru didn't sound like Busta Rhymes. Like, the same argument that he made just now is the same argument that people were making back then. But instead of using rappers from the 90s as examples, he used rappers from the 2000s like 50 Cent as an example, but it's the exact same argument. And I don't like when people do this because it tricks a lot of kids into thinking that right now music is the worst it's ever been, when in reality, people do this in every generation. They always act like the current generation of music is so much worse than the past, and you're gonna see the exact same thing in 10 years. You're gonna see in 2034, you're gonna see people say, "Oh man, music today, it's so terrible. It ain't this, it ain't that. I wish you could take me back to 2024. Back then artists sounded different. Mexican OT didn't sound like Big X the Plug." You're gonna see the exact same argument in 10 years. So I don't like that Tyler made that argument really. But just to give you an example of what I mean when I say that, look, there are artists who sound different, and I think these sort of arguments are a bit overblown. Let's look at the freshman list from XXL this year, right? You look at Mexican OT. He doesn't sound like anybody on this list. Like, Mexican OT doesn't sound like Lay Banks. Big X the Plug doesn't sound like Scarlett. Boss Man D-Lo doesn't sound like Honcho. Like, there's more diversity than people are willing to acknowledge. So again, I'm gonna push back on this idea that all rappers sound the same, because in reality, it's not that all rappers sound the same. Hip hop's the most diverse genre in music. It's not that all rappers sound the same. It's that, respectfully, most fans are very lazy. They're very lazy, and they only want to listen to whatever is popular, whatever the radio and Spotify playlists are pushing on them. In reality, if you want a different style of music, if you want a more if you want a higher quality of music, a big part of that responsibility falls on you as the music listener. See, back in the day, before my generation and before Tyler's generation, that previous generation, they used to do something that they called digging in the crates. They used to physically go to a record store and just spend hours just searching through hundreds of vinyls and CDs, trying to find different kinds of music, trying to really just explore what is out there. Give random things a chance. Just to see just to see. But in e- but ironically, in this day and age, even though we have access to more music than they did, and it's at the tip of our fingertips, all we got to do is get on our phones, so it's more convenient than ever. Ironically enough, nobody goes out of their way. Well, not nobody, but most people, most music listeners, they don't go out of their way to find different types of music, different types of artists. They don't go out of their way to do that. See, people before they were a little more open-minded, but people nowadays, ironically enough, they're not open-minded like that. Even though we have more options. Most people they just want to listen to whatever's popular. They're not trying to give you a chance. Well, most people aren't trying to give you a chance unless you're already popular. Like back in the day, 50 Cent said get rich or die trying. These newer rappers, they're trying to get lit or die trying. That's why these meme rappers or that's why these meme records are popping off to begin with. Most people they're trying to do whatever they can to get to a certain level. And again, I have to say this, a big part of the responsibility for genres maintaining integrity falls on the fans themselves, because these whack artists out here who are getting pushed and becoming these big popular figures, they can only go so far without support. If you ignore them and uplift real artists that you think do a better job of representing the genre, you gotta ignore those other artists and focus on the artists that you think actually matter. But that's never been the case. In reality, a lot of people are lying to themselves. A lot of people are just they're not being honest with themselves. Most people like the music that they complain about. I've been saying this for years. If people only cared about the art, if that was all people were worried about, if they only cared about focusing on people who put a lot of effort into their music and are trying to be the best they can be and push themselves creatively, if they only cared about that, then people like Big Crit and Rhapsody would be some of the biggest artists of the past 20 years. But they're not. They have fans, but they're not household names. The fact of the matter is record labels have never cared about music. Most people just convince themselves that these record labels at one point cared about music, but in reality, they never cared about music. The only thing they cared about was making money. It just behooved them to sign a few talented artists back in the day because those artists were the ones that they felt were more profitable at that time. But right now, they feel like these meme rappers or these artists making what people are calling meme records, they feel like they're more popular or they're in higher demand or they could be more profitable. Even if the music itself isn't selling, because remember, a lot of these artists they're signed to 360 deals. So now it's not just a matter of who they believe can be the most profitable musically, but who they think could be the most profitable influencer, who they think could be the most popular or most profitable brand. A lot of fans, they wanna be spoon-fed high quality music, and that's not gonna happen. Because again, these labels, they don't care about maintaining the integrity of any genre of music. They're not worried about that. I look at it like this. Do you go to McDonald's expecting to be fed high quality food? Of course not. It's a fast food restaurant. One of the ingredients used to make the buns in McDonald's burgers is literally the same material used to make a yoga mat. I'm not making that up. You could look that up yourself. One of the ingredients used to make the the buns at McDonald's and the bread at Subway is the same material used to make yoga mats. Do you think these restaurants care about your health? Of course not. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you happen to eat that, but I'm just saying you're not going to these restaurants think with the under the impression that they're trying to, feed you good food. That's not what they're trying to do. Most likely, the food they're feeding you, it ain't even real meat. Most likely, if we really want to be honest. But you're not getting mad at them because you already know what it is. But for whatever reason, when it comes to these major labels, a lot of fans they keep thinking that it's these labels' jobs to feed them high quality music when these labels have already shown you that they're McDonald's. They've already shown you that they're not worried about what's in your best interest. They're not worried about feeding you some sort of music that's good for your soul or that could keep the integrity of the genre intact. They don't care about that. At some point, you gotta take if you're really a music fan, at some point, you gotta take matters into your own hands and go out of your way, be proactive, and give a wider range of music a chance. Give a wider range of artists a chance. Don't just ignore an artist just because their song has 100 views. You know how many songs on the internet right now have less than 100 views that are amazing? But most people realistically are never gonna get to that point because most people, they just wanna like whatever their friends like. But moving on to the part of Tyler's interview that I definitely agreed with, because even though I pushed back a little bit, there are points that he made that I do agree with a lot. For example, he made the point that you have basically a lot of ungrateful grifters who are blatantly telling you they don't like music, but they just view it as a hustle, and just saying how that's kind of bad for the genre, which is true. Like, you see people like I remember years ago, Cardi B said that she just didn't like she doesn't like music, or it's not her main thing. She just viewed it as like a quick hustle. You've seen many artists, you've seen many artists say that they don't really care about music like that. Even on the XXL freshman list, you had several rappers like Cash Cobain say that he didn't care about being on the list. And not only is that a shame because it kind of gets in the way of an artist who would have cared to be and would have appreciated that opportunity, but then it also makes a lot of fans not value the music because if you, the artist, are talking about it as if it doesn't really matter and it has no value, they're gonna view it the same way. One Another point he also made was just how weird stan culture has kind of become over time, where just because people like you, they're getting they're taking this to a very uncomfortable level where it's at the point where they're starting to stalk some of their favorite artists, and how back when he first signed his deal, how this was not really that normal yet. And I definitely agree. In the early 2010s, it was a interesting time watching social media just I can't even say take baby steps. It made like a quantum leap from 2010 to 2014. Like, it was just a dramatic leap. And we're not even done yet because it's gonna get more and more personal. People are gonna want to know more and more about you. Like, it's to the point where people are probably just gonna start just having 24/7 live streams of their house. That's probably what we're gonna see on the internet at some point. But speaking of stan culture, he also mentioned Eminem, and basically he gave out an apology to Eminem, where he said that after a couple years passing and him watching a documentary about people getting hooked on opioids, it gave him a new perspective on Eminem's Recovery album, which I think was an important thing to say, just because a lot of people aren't patient enough with music. And I say all the time that sometimes you might have to step away from that and come back to it years later to be able to really understand the song, because sometimes either you haven't experienced it, or sometimes you just may not be in the right headspace to really understand or get proper context of what this person was talking about. But that's pretty much all I got to say about the Tyler interview. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below.
All my life I dream of space in a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase. We stress over all the trivial things, it's a mess, but we concealing the rings of the eyelids. Cause for material things we're blind, and when the diamonds go bling, they're dancing whenever we sing but can't see. The pain that stings the skin deep in, it pins me. The sanity's bring to the fans, me think all Pete the dog poems I cover in pink. I don't know, but my rose will be canon on ink. I speak for those whose voice will shrink. I sit back while society sinks. Cold war rap like I'm wearing a mink. I glide on beats like a skate rink. The games are go, my bars are chain link. Not even blockchain could contain me. All my life I dream of space in a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase. All my life I dream of space in a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase.